Hello and welcome to the Connected Yoga Teacher live show. I'm your host, Shannon Crow. I'm a yoga teacher, a mother of three, and a consultant for yoga teachers and studios. I'm really excited about today's topic. We're going to talk about defining your niche. And it's very specific today to go along with this topic. It's Define Your Niche Yoga. So this show is made for yoga teachers. If you are of a different profession and you really want to dive in and find out what your niche is, I'm sure you can use the information to apply there, but I'm really going to make this about yoga teachers. Okay, so before we get started with the show today, I want to share a couple of books that are essential to me or have been, I bought them. So instead of just getting books from the library, which is what I most often do, yes, support your local libraries, I have bought these books once I read them at the library. So the first one is The One Thing, and I could learn a lot from this book. I could continue to learn it. The basic feeling that I always get, and you'll hear me say this today, is that your one thing, or look at your one thing. So this is a book that goes along with the concept of define your niche and see what that is, see what your offering is in the world. The other book is called Rework, and I like it because I didn't say who the one thing is by. So it's by Gary Keller with Jay Papasan, I want to say. And then Rework is Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansen. I might have just really messed their names up. Okay, so in the Rework one today, it just has like, I opened it up to a random page and it says niche media over mass media. So it's pretty cool that this book is really quick to read. It also has little fun pictures, and you could just pick it up, learn one little quick snippet, and then move on. And I really enjoy books like that at times. Okay, so those are totally not yoga related, but great books to get you thinking in the business mind. Okay, and being focused, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I hope you guys can hear me. If you are tuning in live, type a little comment of your name and where you're watching from. I'm using a little earbud to have my microphone closer to see if that helps with the sound. I'm just playing around here with Facebook Live, basically every show, trying something different. I'm also doing it from my desktop, so for those of you who want to do Facebook Live videos, tune in March. I'm going to have a whole show on that and go through it after I've done all the mistakes and learned all of the things. Okay, Jenna, great to see you here. All right, so today we're going to talk about why we should define our niche. And so that's where, what is niche or niche, some people call it. I call it niche. And so really that starts to look at specializing and honing in on something, making it like a smaller focus. So the biggest fear that comes up when I speak with yoga teachers is they think if they tailor their message to this one group, they're going to leave everyone else out. So I hear that fear come up with teachers when I work with them on websites and when I work with them in consulting, both. So the fear rises up, but in actual truth, it actually works the opposite way. So I'm going to go through some examples of how that's worked in my own business. And so what I have seen is it actually increases the numbers of people that I see, the more focused I make this. So as an example, I started teaching yoga, obviously, and I could go around saying, hi, I'm a yoga teacher. And as you guys know, the market is really saturated at times when you feel like everyone around you is also a yoga teacher. And this can happen when a yoga teacher training moves into an area, or there's a really strong yoga teacher training and it feels like, okay, yoga teachers are just popping up all over the place. And I've been in both places. I've been on the receiving end of that fear from another teacher, and I've also been in the place of fear, feeling like, oh my gosh, they're stepping in into my territory and it's filling up. And I really want to stress that community over competition helps a lot. And once you find your niche, it's not going to matter. So we're going to go into that a little bit more. That helps with that feeling. My notes are over here on the wall if you're wondering why I'm not looking out the window. I'm looking at my notes so I stay on track. So that when the message is really specific, your avatar feels seen and heard, and they feel like, so your avatar is your ideal yoga student basically. And when you tailor something to them, they really feel like you're talking to them. So you guys today tuning in are all yoga teachers. You know, I could be doing this for all businesses, but we're making it very specific today to yoga teachers. That's the whole thing behind the Connected Yoga Teacher. So even when we do business speak, it's for yoga teachers. Okay, so the other thing it does for you is it increases your referrals. So imagine, and this is so evident in yoga studio that I work in Owen Sound. Becky Thorne teaches children's yoga there, and people call me and they say, do you want to come and teach a children's class? I'm like, no, but I know this amazing children's yoga teacher. She teaches out of the studio. Here's her contact information. And I've just given her a referral because she has really niched down and that's her specialty. I know that she also teaches adult yoga as well, but I feel like I know her most for the children's yoga. So it increases your referrals. So if I were to think of an example of this, so if I came out of my yoga teacher training, which it was a broad thing. I just basically said, I teach yoga, come to my yoga classes. So if you're doing that, that's a start. So that's a bit of a niche in the fitness world or in the health and wellness world, yoga is, but get in a little bit smaller. So then I started really connecting with gentle yoga. And then I started teaching gentle yoga for hips and shoulders. And I was very much drawn to this because I loved bringing more mobility in and more strengthening for people who had mobility issues. Then, just lately, so don't feel like you have to pick one thing, and once you pick that, that one thing, we talked about the book at the beginning. You guys watch the replay if you want to see it. If you pick that one thing, that doesn't mean that you can't switch to something else at some point, or it doesn't mean that you're stuck in that one thing. But lately, I've been really connecting with yoga for pelvic health. Now, there's a lot of similarities in gentle yoga for hips and shoulders and yoga for pelvic health. And I know the issue for yoga teachers, the fear that comes up already. When I say that I teach yoga for pelvic health, it's mostly geared towards women because women connect more around issues of pelvic health, or they have more of those issues. And so already I may feel like I'm excluding all men, I'm excluding all people who don't have pelvic health issues. But listen to the difference of how this sounds. Hi, I'm Shannon Crow. I'm a yoga teacher. Or, hi, I'm Shannon Crow. I teach women how to use movement, breath, and awareness to maintain and improve their pelvic health. So if you're a woman, you're like, ooh, really listening to that message. And if you're scrolling through a website and you would love to learn more about pelvic health, it really speaks to you. So you see an increase in the people that connect with you for sure. So there's two reasons why this works. The message is really directed to that person, and then you're really passionate about it. And we're going to get into talking a little bit more about that. For those that are already members of the Connected Yoga Teacher private group, we're going to do a little bit more at the end of today in terms of working through this. So if you're thinking, well, I'm watching the replay later, and how do I find that? Become a member of the Connected Yoga Teacher private Facebook group, and you'll see that video in there. Ask me if you need to find it. And that's if you're a yoga teacher. So that's a little bonus for our group members. So really start to look at, and this is where I talked a little bit in a previous live show about defining on a piece of paper 2 lists. So you take a piece of paper, any blank piece of paper, you're going to divide it down the middle, and then put on that piece of paper, on the left side, you're going to put skills, expertise, and that's the list of things that you can do. And on the right side of it, and they can be either side, there's no rhyme or reason for that, I want you to put passions and curiosities. And so then you're going to start to look at what are your skills and what are your passions and your curiosities. This is the part that we're going to get into a little bit more in the Facebook group. So I will also post a link to an article that I wrote on this, but I find that it's so much better when you do it kind of in person, in the moment. Okay, so then you take that list and you do it over 5 days, and you also reach out and ask people around you, people that have known you for a long time, or people who maybe even just know you online, how they see you as. What they see is your skills. And just one example, my kid said to me, you know how to look after children. And I never would have added that to my list. So it's everything. If you know how to ride a bike, I want that on the skills side. If you're passionate about classical music, doesn't mean that you need to become a classical musician. I just want to see it on that side, because we'll start to look at, there's no one else that has this unique combination that makes you who you are, and therefore no one teaches yoga like you do. And that's where the competition goes away, where you're going to teach your yoga that really lights you up, and people are going to connect with that. Okay, so oh yes, this is huge. So it also makes all of the decisions in your business so much easier. So when people come to me and we do website work together for their yoga website, there are so many decisions that they have to make. There's decisions about colors, font, what wording they're going to use, what photos they're going to use. And so if you already know, well, I'm gearing this, so say in my own case, I'm gearing this towards women with pelvic health issues, or say in the children's yoga case, I'm gearing this towards parents of children, or in a child-friendly manner. So your website's going to depict that, but so are your posters. Your emails that go out are going to have that kind of language. All of the content that's in your languaging in any communication that you do with students, even when you meet people, then that communication that comes across. If you do speaking, if you go and do video somewhere, if you have a radio ad, any communication with your people, that's what's going to determine it. It makes the decision process a lot easier. Now my notes are over here. So my example of this is the Connected Yoga Teacher, the podcast, and the live shows, and the website. It's all for yoga teachers. So I've already given that example. But you guys can tell, like, that's what I'm posting. I'm posting things that are of interest to yoga teachers, because that's who I want to speak to. If you want to speak to someone as a yoga student who, say if you want to specialize in restorative or chair yoga, start to think about, okay, if I'm speaking to someone with chair yoga, obviously you're not going to have a photo of handstand on your website. That's a really extreme example, but even the pictures that we take of ourselves and we put on our website, we think, well, that picture is awesome because I'm like doing handstand out, in nature. But if you teach gentle yoga, restorative yoga, and yoga for bodies with experience, Barb Elias calls it, then those aren't the photos that are really going to connect to those people. But if you teach handstands, those are the ones to definitely use. That would get my attention if I was like, I want to do some handstands today. Okay, so it makes all of that much easier. All of the business decisions that you need to make, it starts to make it easier once you know what your niche is. The other thing that's great about this is that you're going to know who you work with and then who you do not work with. And let me tell you that this saves me so often, and still I go back a little bit on this sometimes. So someone will call me to say, hey, can you come and teach this class like far away in yoga dance? And I'm trained in yoga dance and I love dancing. So in the past, I've said yes, but I really know where my one thing is, and that's not it. So it helps me to cut those off. The things that don't really fill me up, but I feel like I can't say no to them for whatever reason, because I like to help people, because I like to serve people. So find a great list of referrals. Other yoga teachers will love it when you do that, and tell them, hey, connect with that yoga teacher because I do this other thing, and that's my one thing. Okay. And also, this is great for when you're starting to define, well, how much do I charge for a yoga class? And so many teachers think, well, I need to keep my prices really low. Who's your person that you're speaking to? So that's a whole other topic, getting into your avatar, but it also works into your niche. So maybe your niche is working at teaching yoga at a homeless shelter. And so then you're going to start to see, okay, how am I going to bring this income in? Who am I speaking with? Likely the organizers of it. Someone is still paying for that. So that makes it a little trickier. Okay. So just a recap of these. So number one reason to define your niche is because it helps you to increase your connection and increase the number of connections that you're having with your ideal yoga students or the people that you really want to work with. Number two, it really clarifies your purpose and the meaning in the work that you do and the yoga that you offer. So it gives you that light. Number three is it helps with all of your communication decisions, like what am I going to add to my website? What am I going to put on this poster? And let me look at my notes here. Oh yes, number four is the new one. I haven't talked about that yet, but it increases your income. So once you've done all of those things, and for those of you who I really resonate with are yoga teachers who want to improve their business and make it sustainable so that they can continue to teach yoga, it increases your income. And I've seen this in my own yoga classes. And then the last one that I want to touch on today is it really helps you to set your goals. And if you're wondering, how do I set my goals? In episode 5 of the Connected Yoga Teacher podcast, I can't remember what day that's going to be released on. We're going to talk about goals, and actually you'll get to hear me setting my goals with my business coach. So that's kind of fun and makes me feel really vulnerable even telling you about it. But it's exciting. I just sent that episode to my editor. So speaking of the podcast, the podcast launch party is on Saturday, this coming Saturday, March the 4th, and I would love to see you guys there if you can make it. If you're looking for more information, it's on the website, theconnectedyogateacher.com, or it'll be here on this page. This is exactly where it will be on Saturday. And there's also an event created for it, so you can say that you're going. You can post questions in there. There's prizes that we're giving away. That's going to be really exciting. So you can win a chance to have free consults with me, either on your website or yoga business strategy session. So yoga business strategy session, you pick 3 topics. The website work, you do. I have a whole list of things that we go through if you want to improve or create a website. Then there's a couple of tickets there for the for Define Your Niche workshop. So I want to tell you about that now, and I've made a note about that. So that workshop is March the 9th and the 23rd. So this workshop has basically taken years of the business stuff and reading this kind of books and compiled it all into a course for you. Now I used to teach this, and I do sometimes still teach it in studios, but I wanted to see what it was like to teach it online so that we can do it across the world with yoga teachers. So it's March 9th and 23rd, and it's from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. If you can show up live, that's amazing. If you can't, you don't have to worry, because you can watch the video at any time that week. There is some work to do in between the next week, and then we're going to check in and keep in touch with each other as well. So there's a limited number of seats in that workshop. but it would be great to see you in it if you feel like my message connects with you. If this, and you can also do your own work, your own niche work as well. So keep that in mind. You don't have to take that course. There's lots out there. This is specific to yoga teachers, and it's what's really worked for me. I like action things. So we've got some things that we're going to sit down and do and really dig in and find out what are the things that really light you up and how can you share them. So I shared 2 books at the beginning of this video. You can go back and watch that. You guys who are here live, if you want to comment and say like, what was your favorite point of this, or if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and I'm happy to continue to answer questions. So if you're watching the replay, you can let me know your questions in the comments. And let's see, were there any other notes? Oh yeah, next week we're going to talk about the anatomy of the pelvis. And I have my pelvis here actually. I have my own, but then I also have this one. So we're going to talk about the anatomy of the pelvis, and we're going to demo it. We're going to have a live pelvis to look at, and then do a little bit of yoga to just identify different parts of the pelvis. So if you want to take this into your classes, I get really excited about anatomy, especially with the pelvis. This pelvis is very cool because it has the pelvic floor muscles. You can see the pelvic floor right there. Awesome. And you can see the sacrum. Okay, I won't get started yet on that, but I'm very excited about next week. And the following week, we're also going to do a little intro to pelvic health. And I'm working on getting a course together for yoga teachers so they can be teaching this more and more in their classes. If you're interested, my spring session in Owen Sound, Ontario will be yoga for pelvic health if you're around. I'm really going to focus in. I'm going to niche down and take my own advice in that, which I have before, but that is my true love. So yay, Christine loves the pelvis. Nice to see that, Christine. And I'm glad that you found some good information here. Jennifer, great to see you. Jenna, I see you here as well. It's fun that people are tuning in from different parts of the world. So I'm going to pop over to the Connected Yoga Teacher private group. I think all of you guys are members, and continue on with a little bit more than I'm going to do today for getting ready to define your niche a little bit further. Okay, so we'll see you guys in there. Take care. Bye.